What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/ProRevenge. Alright, this story's called, "You're Not Giving Me an ETA for a Fix? I'll flood your ticketing system!" At first, I thought this story would have been more suited for r/Petty Revenge. However, after reading r/ProRevenge's rule number 1, in order for your story to be pro-revenge, it should involve you going out of your way and going above and beyond to get revenge. I decided that it's better suited here, as I feel that I clearly went above and beyond. Hopefully you will find this story as amusing as my friends and I find it 10 years later. This happened around 2012. Back then, I used to live in Southern Europe, one of the Mediterranean countries. Italy. I was a university student in a remote, rural place. Come on, please be Italy. I had just moved to a new apartment, and naturally, my first order of business was to make sure that I have a running internet connection. The problem was that, due to the place I was living in being so remote, there was only one ISP available. You don't like the provider? Too bad. That sounds like a lot of places in America that only have Comcast. Anyway, I signed the necessary paperwork in time, moved to the new place, set up the router and all, and thankfully my connection is fine. That is until day 3 or 4 when out of nowhere my internet connection dies. But my phone line was working normally. Okay, no problem. I call the ISP to open a ticket. The representative tells me that they will get back to me soon. A few days pass by and I get nothing, so I decide to call them again. The representative tells me that they are still investigating the problem and that they will get back to me soon. Now, this is the point where I'm starting to get frustrated. I know that the internet in the area is fine. In fact, my next door neighbor's internet connection is great. So the problem must be something that is easily fixable, right? Wrong. A week has passed by and I call them again. This time the representative tells me that they have investigated the issue and the problem is officially of unknown origin, which means that they cannot give me an ETA for the fix. I hang up the phone feeling sad and perplexed. As I contemplate my internet-less existence, the representative's words echoed in my mind. Unknown origin. We cannot give you an ETA. Slowly, my sadness transforms into denial. How is this possible? My phone connection still works, so the line is still there, and I know for a fact that everyone in the area has a stable internet connection. This must be a simple bug that is easily fixable. This can only mean one thing. Some mother father has not been doing his job correctly. The denial becomes anger. How dare they tell me that they cannot give me an ETA? This should be illegal. What if my job depends on my internet connection? Not to mention that internet access is a basic human right. They are denying me my rights by not giving me an ETA. At this point, the issue stops being the internet connection. It's about the principle of the matter. As a human being and a customer, I am entitled to an ETA. I call the ISP again and I try to explain my flawless reasoning. No luck. The poor representative who listens to my rant tells me that the only thing I can do is to open a new ticket. Shocked by my inability to define my fate, I accept his offer and hang up. And then, a magnificent idea is born. Since the only thing that I can do is to open a new ticket, then this is exactly what I'm going to do. From that point on, I was calling my ISP 2 to 5 times per day. Each time I was telling the representative the same thing. This is what happened. I know that there are multiple tickets with my name on them already, but I want you to open a new one. Most of the representatives were pretty amused by my story. Everyone complied. A month later. Yes, a month passed without the issue having been fixed. I get a call from the regional tech executive of the ISP. The call goes like this. I don't like all these tickets being flooded in my system. I am so annoyed. You're so annoying. You keep flooding the tickets, and the system is being flooded with tickets. The tickets are everywhere. Oh my god, it's like a Chuck E. Cheese up in here. Oh. You must stop opening tickets. You're flooding our ticketing system. It's chaotic. I'm drowning in tickets. It's impossible. Oh my god, I cannot go home to my wife's lasagna because there's too many tickets. At first, I was shocked at how aggressive the executive was. He was clearly one step away from starting to call me names, and I knew that the only reason this didn't happen was that these calls are being recorded. And then my shock transformed into a visible, glorious erection? What? You see, my friends, this is the point when I realized that I was winning. So you get a boner? What? Well, are you gonna give me an ETA for a fix? We cannot give you an ETA. The problem is of an unknown origin. Then I guess I'll keep opening tickets. He hangs up. To cut a long story short, this exchange renewed my passion for crushing the souls of those who have wronged me, so I kept opening tickets at the same pace for another 30 to 40 days. I estimate that in the course of the total around 70 days that this lasted, I must have opened more than 250 tickets. One day, my phone rings. I pick it up and it's an ISP representative who tells me this. Mr. OP, is this you? Your problem has been solved. Everyone at ISP's name is talking about you. Indeed. On that day, my internet connection was back. The cool part about this, however, was that I had internet all along. Remember my next door neighbor? She was kind enough to let me know her Wi-Fi password since day one. Okay, but what was the issue? I mean, honestly, I would want to know what the issue was at that point. But goddamn, dude, this guy was willing to freaking call a customer service representative people 2 to 5 times a day. Like, I could not do that. I just would never. I hate dealing with it. And I've said it so many times before, but I'm saying it again. Customer service representatives suck booty. And if you are one, I'm sorry. You just do. Even if you're a good one, it's the system. Alright, this story's called I Catfished a Former Boss to Get Paid. I used to work for a married couple, Billy, male 52, and Gigi, female 44, who owned a business services public relations agency. It lasted more or less for a year. They seemed nice and humble, but in reality, they were shady and untruthful. The company began to falter because of poor management and zero intention to prioritize. Billy was your baby-faced next-door neighbor type. He looked about 10 years younger and had a kind smile. He was soft-spoken and had an artistic and creative flair to him. Gigi looked matronly, with a Mother Earth incarnate attitude towards her children. She prided herself on being ruthless when it came to giving her family only the best. She could be really nice when she wanted to, but I found out early on that she was 100% apt at gossip and being two-faced. The company's constant changes were a red flag. They went from business services plus PR agency to IT provider to a business incubator to indie beer partners. What I'm trying to say is that they tried to dip their donut on in everyone's coffee, figuratively. Some of us had no real way to escape. The lady working next to me was already 67 years old and scared that no one would hire her. I wasn't in a great place either. We were 8 employees in total. They wouldn't lay anyone off because they believed that the employee should quit. They paid us only a portion of our salaries, incomplete weekly payments. Employees would run for the hills once they found a better job. Some of us were stuck. It was horrible. Then they would pay the normal rate for a month and then do it again. They never cut down on their luxury expenses, so the wife would post her shopping sprees or arrive in a new car like it was nothing. Zero empathy. Very insensitive. The husband was obsessed with making it big time, so much that he sometimes failed to see an opportunity right in front of him. He said he was Coca-Cola's brand manager. I swear I looked it up and I could never find any reference. Gigi had a display full of small local magazines, mostly about design and architecture. They were very proud to be a team member, but in reality, they just helped them print 2 issues. They wanted big business only, but in the meantime, looked down upon tangible potential clients, like the young Latino couple who showed up trying to learn more about their services. They seemed lost because they wanted someone to help them set up a coffee business and had no idea how it was done. I talked to them and helped them into the waiting room. They even showed up with their baby in a stroller. That means they must have driven by and decided to come in. An impulsive client should be retained. The guy said his grandpa had a farm and he wanted to create an import-exports company. Once Billy showed up, he listened for a bit, then kind of gave them a kind of abrupt dismissal. That was kind of a Richard move because that couple opened their own business with someone else and even have a Facebook page. It could have been Billy. Billy lined his office walls with posters of Steve Jobs and Elon Musk. His wife, the chief enabling officer, put up signs on each room. The main employee area was the machine room. Billy's office was the chamber. The conference room was a meeting of the minds. Every time an employee disagreed with Billy during a brainstorming session, Gigi would call them aside and tell them that Billy is your boss. You need to know that he is brilliant and a genius. I want him to have that taste of success. I experienced that firsthand. I also hated brainstorming because that was never on my job description. They just wanted to pick everyone's brains. In the meantime, we had to see the Pandora jewelry, the expensive makeovers for their daughters, and the weekend at the spa updates on Facebook. Gigi's captions were usually about rewarding herself after a hard week, or because she deserved it. Oh, and I'd like to mention that they bought into the social guru phrases about emotional direction. So, if an employee ever got angry, Gigi would tell you, remember, the one who gets angry is the one who ends up losing. For anyone who's been in this situation, you may understand how painful it can be. You cannot leave the job because you have no other job waiting for you, and pathetic as it may sound to some income is better than no income at all. This is an involuntary compromise, and it's abusive. Why were we expected to pay for their luxuries via incomplete wages? My best friend's ex is into coding and programming, and he agreed to help. If it didn't work out, at least we would have something to laugh about. We created a kick-ass fake website with a matching LinkedIn and the whole 9 yards. To make a long story short, this was supposed to be an investment company, and my friend would be very casual, nothing too eager. He started by liking my employer's Facebook page, then comment. Before we knew, my boss took the bait and was engaging. They exchanged emails, and he was eager to share all his projects and ambitious crap. On the other side, the investor sent him a list of requirements, like proof of concept, employer payroll, EIN number, etc. The investor agreed to work them if they could prove they were legit and up to date. No bank account of confidential info was asked. Within 3 weeks, I was paid the equivalent to the 2 months and half I was owed. The investor did an about face and never contacted him again. I left the job as soon as I could. My friend who remained until she got paid told me our boss seemed off and a bit down after he announced big things are coming, but it all seemed to deflate. I never disclosed what was really going on. Edit: my boss wasn't scammed into paying money to the fake website. He was catfished into getting up to date with employee salaries that he owed. Edit: I expanded the story. Edit: for anyone who doesn't understand the the story, no money was paid, asked from or wired from my boss to the investor. We baited his greedy character and told him that if he could prove everything was in order, the investment would happen. This included the payroll. No confidential info is asked nor offered, seen, or reviewed. He paid everyone what he owed them. The payment was made to each worker as normally. No one stole money via website. He just made the diligence. EIN numbers and what we asked are not confidential. You see, I didn't get any of that from the story, but creative way to get revenge by not, doing anything shady. Good stuff. I'm proud. Alright, this story's called Mess with the Dominatrix and You'll Cry. I work as a cam girl, doing video chats with guys for money. Most of the sessions I have are fetish related, and I work for many small sites. One day I had a guy wanting to be my slave, meaning he wanted me to be a dominatrix and to command him to perform painful and degrading acts on himself. Most of these so-called slaves are actually very softcore in what they are willing to do. Initially, he paid for a 1-hour session, and we got along so well, he paid for a second hour. At the start of the session, I always set up a safe word, and we talk about turn-ons, limits, and I respect them. It's part of the dom-sub dynamic to build a trustful relationship. I did the session, he seemed happy, and so was I. He was indeed very softcore. A month later, the site owner messaged me to say that a client contacted him, accusing me of fraud, threatening to call the police. He said I blackmailed him to make him send money and never delivered the session. I showed the screenshots of the conversation, so I was off the hook with the site, and they didn't issue a refund. But the guy asked for a chargeback in his credit card company, and I had around $400 deducted from my paycheck. It's important to stress that services of a sexual nature have very different billing rules. It's against the terms of service of all the mainstream payment processors such as PayPal, Venmo, Google Pay, etc. You have to own a high-risk merchant account with very high fees, so we use third-party companies that facilitate it for us. Some of them cover these eventual chargebacks, others don't. This one didn't. Fast forward 6 months, I was contacted on Skype by a guy wanting to be my slave for 1 hour. This is not a rare request, so I didn't connect the dots at first. I sent him a link for payment, luckily this time in a site that covers chargebacks. He paid. When he opened his camera, there he was. I never forgot his face and accent because he was very weird. It was the same guy who accused me of fraud and got his money back. I'd have terminated the call right away, but knowing I was protected by chargebacks in this other side, I decided to get my revenge. So I pretended I haven't recognized him. Knowing he was softcore but willing to obey, I started to give him tasks that were literally turn-offs for him. I didn't set up a safe word this time. I let it escalate quickly to very hardcore stuff and used all the mind games to push him to his limits. He went 20 minutes straight. He was crying until he gave up and hung up on me. I even called back a few times and he didn't answer. I clearly stated that his remaining minutes were forfeit because he left the session of his own will. A week later, the owner of the site asked for proof of the session because the client contacted them saying the service wasn't delivered and he wanted a refund. I had everything documented. They pay for the time, not for the actions. So whatever happened in the session is at our own discretion. He never got the refund, and this site has a chargeback protection, so he didn't get the money back this time. He is blacklisted now and never heard from him again. I hope he left the BDSM world for good. Okay, this guy is some kind of loser because who does that? Who goes to these video video chat sites or whatever. Like, that's not the part I'm judging, but the fact that he's not even willing to pay for it? Like, come on. These people, they work for that money. You're taking their time. God, you're ripping them off. So, you know what? The revenge is kind of dark, but I guess he shouldn't have messed with the Dominatrix, like the title says.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.